In 2024, a National Retail Federation report showed that retailers estimated 16.9% of their annual sales would be returned. So what happens when companies are left with massive amounts of excess inventory with nowhere for it to go? That's where MAC.BID comes in. The company buys truckloads of surplus products and resells them on its platform, creating a secondary market that benefits the economy, the environment, and you. I'm joined now by MAC.BID founder and CEO, Kellen Campbell. Kellen, thank you so much for being on with us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so for viewers who may be unfamiliar with MAC.BID, briefly, how does it work?
Yeah, so the best way to describe us is we are a retail liquidation auction. And so what we do is we take liquidation from retailers, mostly returns, but we do some overstock and other things. We post them on our website. Every auction starts at $1. It's free to bid and there's no reserve pricing. And so you can bid on any of the items that we have posted and, come up with a price that you see is worthy of that item. And if you're the winner, you just come pick it up at one of our locations.
Yeah, it sounds like pretty good deals you could score for sure, because we know everyone's got an eye on rising prices right now. But MAC.BID's structure as a secondary market, it helps cushion the impact of tariffs and inflation, I understand. How does your model help keep those costs lower?
Yeah, so, we're dealing in liquidation. So we get any number of conditions. Again, a lot of the stuff that we get in is returned, so it could come in. You can think of any number of reasons of why items get returned, from gift returns to any other reason that you would return the item back. And then the interesting thing about our concept is it's not a fixed price, right? So you name the price that you're comfortable paying, and if you're the highest bid, then you come pick the item up.
Now, in 2018, more than 146 million tons of municipal solid waste was landfilled. Among this was 11.3 million tons of textiles, 12.1 tons of wood, and 2.9 tons of plastic. How does MAC.BID help reduce the amount of usable goods that would otherwise end up in a landfill?
Yeah, so you could imagine the amount of product that comes back to the retailers, especially in the United States, based on the return policies that are in place, are relatively liberal in what they'll accept back. And so instead of those items ending up in a landfill or any other disposition, we're essentially finding a second home for them. And we're pretty lean all the way around in regards to what we do. So you imagine we get a lot of cardboard. All that cardboard gets baled and recycled. We end up, a lot of the product that we get in comes in on pallets. Stacked and shrink wrapped, and so a lot of that stuff, the pallets and the cardboard and all that, gets recycled. And so yeah, there's a huge element of the secondary market in just about everything we do. Obviously, the biggest part of that being the retail product that gets a second home.
Yeah, and really quick, how can consumers ensure that the products that they buy from MAC.BID are just as good as purchasing new in the store, or are there some cases where the products may not be as good as purchasing new?
Yeah, it's not all brand new. So keep in mind, it is, like I said, for the most part, returns. There is a lot of it that is brand new. So what we recommend, there's a number of ways to make sure that you know exactly what you're getting into. One is all items before the auction close are available for inspection. So you can come in, we'll help you find that item, and you can inspect that item to the extent that you want to make sure you know exactly what you're getting into. If you're not able to do that, we also offer a membership, which allows you a 30-day return policy. Or the third option is you can actually buy what we refer to as buyer's assurance, and that's a 7-day return policy on the item. So there's a number of options to help protect yourself or insure yourself against receiving an item that you didn't anticipate or something along those lines. But the best way to do it is just come in and inspect the item before you're bidding, so you know exactly what you're getting into.
Yeah, well, surely an option for shoppers to check out, that's for sure. Thank you so much, MAC.BID founder and CEO Kellen Campbell. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.